Okay, boys and girls, so let's try some extra practice problems for this section, Chapter 6, Section 3, solving equations with rational coefficients. So first, let's get some problems up here. Okay, so now that they're up there, go ahead and pause the video, write down the questions, try to work them out, and when you're ready, press play, and we'll go over how to do these. Okay, so in the first one, the coefficient of the variable is 1.2. So, we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient. Remember, a fraction bar means division. On the left-hand side, the times 1.2 divided by 1.2 cancel. And on the right, 6 divided by 1.2 is 5. For question 2, 14.4 equals negative 2.4 times h. Negative 2.4 is the coefficient. So again, a fraction bar represents division, and we're going to divide both sides by negative 2.4. It's important that you do not forget that negative sign, or else the answer will be wrong. The negative 2.4's on the right-hand side cancel, and on the left, 14.4 divided by negative 2.4 is going to give negative 6. It's negative because the signs in the numerator and denominator are different. The last one here, negative 3.6x equals negative 10.8. Well, negative 3.6 is the coefficient of the variable x, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 3.6. The negative 3.6's cancel on the left-hand side, and negative 10.8 divided by negative 3.6 is going to be positive 3. It's positive because the signs are the same. Next, we're going to take a look at 3 more problems. This time, we're going to deal with ones that have fraction coefficients. Okay, so here are 3 problems. Go ahead and write them down, and then when you're ready, press play, and we'll go over how to do these. Alrighty, so the first problem, the coefficient of the variable is 2/5. So we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal 5 over 2. On the left-hand side, 5 over 2 times 2 over 5 cancels, leaving x. And on the right-hand side, 12 times 5 is 60, and 25 times 2 is 50. This, of course, can be reduced to 6/5 by dividing numerator and denominator by 10. And I would accept this answer, no problem, but if you wanted to turn it into a mixed number, 5 goes into 6 one time with the remainder 1, so the mixed number would be 1 1/5. Now, for the next question, this one's very interesting. We have a mixed number and we have a fraction. First things first, let's turn that mixed number into an improper fraction. Remember, we multiply the denominator times the whole number, so 3 times 3 is 9, plus the numerator, 1, which makes 10. The denominator stays the same, 3, and since that mixed number was negative to begin with, it's going to be negative now as well. I'll go ahead and rewrite the rest of the problem. Now, the coefficient of the variable is negative 1/2, so I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal, negative 2 over 1. Do not forget that negative sign. Now, on the right-hand side, the 2 over 1 and negative 1/2, they cancel each other out, leaving h. On the left, we have 2 times 10, which is 20, and on bottom, 1 times 3, which is 3. And since we had a negative times a negative, the answer is going to be positive. Now, I would accept the answer if you left it like that. However, you can turn that into a mixed number if you want to. 3 goes into 20 6 times with a remainder 2. So the mixed number would be 6 2/3. Now, let's take a look at problem 6. Here, we had a fraction coefficient of negative 7/9. So we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which would be negative 9 over 7. Do not forget to include the negative sign with your reciprocal fraction. Now on the left, negative 9 over 7 and negative 7 over 9 cancel out, leaving h. On the right-hand side, in the numerator, I have 11 times 9, which is 99, and in the denominator, I have 6 times 7, which is 42. Also, since I had a positive fraction, 11 over 6, times a negative fraction, negative 9 over 7, signs are different, so my answer is going to be negative. Do not forget that. This fraction we can actually reduce. We can divide numerator and denominator by 3, so we could rewrite this as negative 33 over 14. And I would accept the answer like that as an improper fraction. However, if you wanted to, you could turn this into a mixed number. 14 goes into 33 using long division twice with a remainder of 5. So we could rewrite this as negative 2 and 5/14. Next, I'm going to show two things. One is how to reduce a fraction in case you forgot, and two is how to turn an improper fraction, such as this, into a mixed number, such as that. So if you don't need those skills, go ahead and stop the video, you're done. If you need them, keep watching. Now, in my last video, one of the answers I had was 48 over 60, and I said that that could be reduced to 4/5 as long as we reduce with the number 12. Now, how does that make any sense? Well, when you reduce fractions, what you're simply doing is you're trying to find a number that we can divide into both the numerator and the denominator without a remainder. Now, I looked at this and right away I knew that 12 would go into both the numerator and denominator without a remainder. But maybe you don't know that, especially if you're starting out. So my advice is to start with small numbers and ask yourself, will this number go into both the numerator and denominator? So let's start with the number 2. Since 48 is even, 2 goes into that. Since 60 is even, 2 goes into that. So let's take a look. 48 divided by 2 is 24. 60 divided by 2 is 30. So 48 over 60 equals 24 over 30. Both those fractions represent the same amount. Now again, I have an even number on top and bottom, so again, I can reduce numerator and denominator by 2. So now I have 12/15. Now, the numerator I can divide by 2, but the denominator I can't. So I look for another number that goes into both. Well, I can divide 12 by 3, and I can also divide 15 by 3. So I go ahead and do that. Now I have my fraction reduced to 4/5, and there's no number that divides into both 4 and 5 with the exception of 1, so this fraction is reduced. Next, let's take a look at how to turn an improper fraction into a mixed number. Well, what we're going to do is long division. Question 5 had an answer of 20/3, so I simply set it up like a long division problem, and I use my answer to figure out what the mixed number is. Watch. The top number goes in the box, the denominator's outside. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18, and our remainder is 2. Now, the whole number 6, that's your whole number, and your remainder becomes your new numerator. The denominator does not change. Now, if you had a negative fraction, for example, if this was negative 20/3, then you would still do the same thing, and your answer would be negative 6 2/3. The very last thing that I'll show you is how to turn a mixed number into an improper fraction. In case you forgot about that, that was also in problem 5. Let's take a look at the example. In problem 5, we had the mixed number negative 3 1/3. Now the first thing I want to tell you is ignore that negative sign for now. What you're going to do is you're going to take the denominator and you're going to multiply it by the whole number. Now 3 times 3 gives us 9. Remember that in your head, but I'm going to write that as a little note on the paper. Next, you're going to take that answer, the 9, and you're going to add the numerator to that. So now we have 9 plus 1, and 9 plus 1 equals 10. Now that 10 is going to be our new numerator, and the denominator never changes. Now remember that negative sign that I told you to ignore in the beginning? If it started out as a negative mixed number, it's going to be a negative improper fraction. So negative 3 1/3 is negative 10/3.